Your next First Amendment right are your freedoms of speech and the press. Free expression. We talk about freedom of speech, and it's not just your right to say, but it's also your right to hear things. It's for so you can hear what other people have the right to say. And the intention is to protect the expression of unpopular ideas. Nobody fights the idea that puppies are cute. That's not a controversial topic. But when we talk about things, especially in politics or religion, these can be unpopular ideas, and freedom of speech is there to protect you. However, there are some forms that are not protected. The big ones are libel and slander. Libel is printed and slander is spoken. I remember it because spoken and slander both begin with S. And this is when you intentionally say something that you know is false with the intent to harm somebody's reputation or job or self. Another form that is not protected is seditious speech. Sedition is attempting to overthrow the government. And we've had a number of acts throughout history that address this one. The first one was the Alien and Sedition Act. The next one was the Sedition Act of 1917. This one was actually really, really harsh. It said you could not encourage disloyalty, and you could not say anything bad about the government. I think half the population would be in jail for this one right now. But you got to remember, 1917, we were in the middle of World War I. And over 2,000 people were convicted and put in jail for this one. During 1940, again, we're coming into World War II on this time frame, we have the idea that you cannot advocate the overthrow of the government. You can believe in it, you just can't act on it. Okay, obscenity. Obscenity is one of those words that people have a tough time describing it. In fact, one politician is notorious for saying, I can't define it, but I know it when I see it. But you have to make a definition if you're going to make a law about it. So they came down to the idea that obscenity is something is obscene if the average person finds the work taken as a whole to appeal to the prurient interests. The work depicts or describes in an offensive way forms of sexual content specifically dealt with in anti-obscenity laws. Currently include things like bestiality, child pornography, that kind of stuff. The work lacks serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. And that was kind of hard to prove that it lacks those kind of things, especially artistic. So things that are allowed are adult bookstores, although they are oftentimes zoned into specific areas. Nude dancing, again, oftentimes zoned into specific areas, away from churches, schools, that kind of stuff. Filters for internet and public places. Oftentimes, if you are in a public place, there will be a filter that protects or that prevents you from looking at obscene material like pornography. Okay, prior restraint. The rule is you cannot censor something before it is published. I can't say like, hey, this idea, I'm going to write this about this expose about the government, and the government says, no, you can't. I haven't written it. There are some exceptions. For example, if you work for the CIA, you do have to have that one approved before you can publish it. Anything produced by a school. And this includes yearbooks, newspapers, VTV news, plays, concerts, all that kind of stuff can be censored by the principal or administration or the school board prior to it being produced. The media, confidentiality. Reporters will often tell a source that I have you under confidentiality or I'm not going to release my source. Sometimes you read an article and it will say, according to a White House official, and they don't give the person's name. That's the idea of confidentiality. And reporters do have some protection, but they can also be held in contempt of court if they don't reveal their sources. And some reporters have gone to jail for that. Motion pictures, movies. Remember you used to go to movies? Now you just watch Netflix. It used to be that local review boards would decide what movies could be played in their towns. Well, things have changed. So now they rely on a rating system. By the way, I don't know if you guys know this, it is not a law that you have to be 17 to go to an R-rated movie. That is the rule of the movie theater. And all the movie theaters in America got together and said, okay, this is going to be our rule. We're all going to do it. However, it is not a law. Radio and television. For this case, we're talking about over the airways radio and television without having cable or internet. Like if you just plugged in a TV and turned it on. This is considered public property. And so there are rights of the viewers, limiting what can and cannot be shown at certain times. That's why you notice like shows that are on after 10 p.m. are a little bit more adult than shows that are on at 8. Now, if you are a cable, because people pay for that one, they do have more rights. They still oftentimes limit what is shown and even more so like what is said or shown. Again, school newspapers and school activities, those could all be censored. Symbolic speech. Symbolic speech is speech without words. It's actions, including picketing. If you are picketing something, you are showing your displeasure about something, and that is considered symbolic speech. It's absolutely protected. Flag burning. This is burning the American flag in protest. Not burning the American flag because it's time to retire the flag, but in protest. Super controversial, but it is absolutely legal. Commercial speech. This is speech for money or advertising. It's mostly protected. However, there can be no false or misleading ads, which, if you've seen the ads you might see on social media, you're like, how does that product work? As long as it works once, it's not false or misleading. I can't advertise, a product and say it will cure cancer when I have no proof of that, medical proof of that. However, I can say things like it can help increase your, antioxidants, which has been shown to help reduce the risk of cancer. So it's a really kind of iffy thing. You see it a lot with vitamin supplements and health supplements and that kind of stuff. Tobacco advertising is absolutely forbidden in print and on television. I think it's been prohibited on television like my entire life. It's even regulated as to like convenience stores, how many tobacco ads they can have in their window and how big they can be. It's been ruled that people cannot be forced to act as billboards. South Carolina, a number of years back, rated their state license plate, and their default license plate, the one that you just get if you get a license plate, said, "In God we trust." Well, the problem with that one is not everybody trusts in God. And if you wanted another one that just had, the Palmetto State, that's their state motto, you had to pay extra for that one. So people were being forced to act as a billboard. Now, you might have seen the In God We Trust ones in Florida. That is not our default license plate. You have to choose that one. The default one just says the Sunshine State. So that's your basics on your First Amendment freedoms. Now go ahead and open up the Google Doc and answer those questions and define the vocabulary terms. Have a good day.